As a pastor, one of the moments that breaks my heart most is when someone says something like this to me. I feel like God has run out of blessings. Or maybe they'll say, I've used up all the grace God has for me. Or sometimes they'll say, I think God's done with me. And I hate to hear these things because I don't believe them. And they're powerfully hurtful thoughts. But I do understand where they come from. If this has ever been you, I may not be able to correct your inner monologue. I certainly haven't been able to entirely fix mine. That's a real journey, and we can join in it together. But until we get there, I want to offer this. The God, the one true and real God, is never empty. God's grace, meaning God's gifts of love, never, ever run empty. For me, it's helpful to think of the words of Psalm 23. My cup runneth over. There's a brilliant, absolutely brilliant children's book called How Full Is Your Bucket by Tom Rath and Mary Reckmeyer. Church member, library scientist, and mega mom Jasmine Sykes told me about it when my child was a baby. She said, get it will help. And it did. But not just in my parenting, in my personal life too. In How Full Is Your Bucket, there's a sense that each of us has, let's call it a well, a vessel that keeps us feeling full, satisfied, fulfilled. When the well is full, we do well. It's that simple. But throughout the day, and throughout life, in general, the well gets depleted. Someone says something mean, it diminishes. Something scares you, it goes down even more. And throughout the course of the day, the well can get drier, and our ability to adapt to that corresponds. So without the full well, we're not at our best selves. And we've all lived through what that looks like. That's not the only part of the story, though, because things happen in the day that add to the well, too. It's pretty rare that things only go in one direction. We do get replenished. It's just that it takes a lot of discipline, maybe, even hormonal adjustment in order to be able to notice the well filling up as much as, or even more than, the depletion. That brings a fuller picture to how we are filled or depleted. But there's one more aspect. How do our words or actions fill or empty someone else's well? Because I can guarantee that we do both. And when we have this awareness, we become so much more powerful in a beneficial way. Because here's the truth. You are born to live out of wellness with a full well. And you were created to help to fill someone else's well, at least not to deplete it. When I think about it, I cringe. I cringe at things that I've done or said or even thought or acted upon that I knew at the time or figured out later wouldn't help people. Part of our confessional spiritual walk is in recognizing this, the ways that we ourselves can deplete people's wells. Without lingering in shame, part of our spiritual walk is seeing this and doing our best to correct it. Fill, don't spill. That's us. But you know what? It's not God. Sometimes it's hard to know exactly how to distinguish between us and God. For any of us, this can be a struggle. But this is a way to know something very specific and unique about God. Whilst our wells can be depleted, God's cannot, will not ever run dry. God's well, God's goodness, God's grace, these never diminish. There's no such thing as a God who is done with us. God is always, always full, always ready to bless, always there for us, always prepared to meet us wherever we are. God can't be empty. God is full. from everlasting to everlasting, to infinity and more some. Amen. Now, in your reflections and conversation, I invite you to ask, have you ever thought God had had enough of you? If not for yourself, have you ever heard someone express this? Who or what led to this thinking? Today, what has filled your well? What has depleted it? What can fill it back up? Are there choices you can make about how you structure your day that can have a more deliberate impact on the strength of your well?